G'day, I'm Paul. So normally we do videos where I test cars and I sort of give you advice on whether it's good or not. Well, this time around I'm doing something a little bit different because I wanted to buy a car for Dad. He needs to do some towing with a new caravan that he bought, driving around Australia, all that sort of fun stuff. And he asked me, what should I buy? And I kind of went through the whole process of narrowing down what he needs, and I landed on this. So I wanted to run you through why I landed on this, why I selected the options that I did, and why I think this is probably the sweet spot for a towing vehicle if you're going to be sort of towing above that sort of 2-ton mark. So I guess we'll just get straight into it. So what is this? It is obviously a Ford Ranger, but it is the Sport V6 diesel, and I've got a couple of options fitted to it. He kind of needs a vehicle that's going to tow a caravan that has a sort of laden weight of about 3,000 kilos. So sort of getting right up there, and yes, you can settle on a 4-cylinder. It'll kind of just do the same sort of job, but to give you that little bit of extra headroom, a V6 diesel is probably where I'd be going before you have to step up to something like a Ram or an F-150. He also wanted a bull bar just in case he struck any kangaroos or any sort of random stuff like that. It also gives you the opportunity to fit some accessories. Now you can go and get aftermarket equipment like bull bars from, I guess, any number of people, but to be honest, I always recommend to people that they try and get accessories that are endorsed by the manufacturer. And specifically here with Ford, ARB has a partnership with Ford where they basically supply and install all of this stuff as part of the purchase process. And if you get this installed prior to taking delivery of the vehicle, it's covered by the same Ford warranty. So you've got a 5-year warranty on this. The other advantage as well is that ARB was one of the companies that Ford opened the doors to early on in Ranger development to allow them to do a lot of fluid analysis on stuff like cooling. And you can see here that you stick a giant bull bar on the front of a car, it's going to affect the cooling. And these guys, because they knew all of the dimensions, all of the cooling spots ahead of the vehicle actually going into production, they were able to design all of this to take into account cooling. In addition to that, it also takes into account things like all of your ADAS systems. So you can see here that the radar has moved from the front of the vehicle to the bull bar. Camera has also moved as well, along with the parking sensors and fog lights too. So they're basically taking into account everything that you need. So yes, you can go and buy whatever you want for the front of the car or for any other accessory for the car, but you know, in my opinion, if it was my money, I'd probably just want to stick with stuff like this that directly potentially affects things like cooling. You're just going to be covered then. This was added on during the purchase process. This is just under $3,000. It's an ARB commercial bar. Didn't go for the Summit bar that you find fitted to a lot of Ford next generation Everest and Rangers because it was a big step up in price and you kind of just looks a little fancier, but ultimately protection for the front end of your car is all you need. This is going to do the job perfectly fine. Come around to the side with me. So stuck with the highway terrains because he's doing a lot of towing. He doesn't need to do a great deal of off-roading, so you don't really need to go down the path of all terrains. Part of the reason I told him to go for the V6 as well over the 4-cylinder is, yes, you're getting more torque. You've got that extra headroom for big hills and all that sort of stuff where a 4-cylinder is going to potentially run out of puff. But the V6 also comes with the ability to switch this into 4A, which is a mode that is able to operate on sealed surfaces as a 4-wheel drive. Now, if you do want an explainer on why that's the case, we actually shot a video that explains that. You can click up there to watch that. But ultimately, if you are going to do a lot of towing and it's going to be wet, you really want the ability to switch from rear-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive on sealed surfaces just to give you that little bit of extra traction and headroom as required. So just worth keeping in mind. One of the things I don't really like, obviously going from the Raptor that I had, is stuff like this. You've got plastic side steps there, and the Raptor has that sort of really cool, I guess, metallic setup, whereas this plastic setup isn't going to be as durable. But again, because he isn't doing a great deal of off-road driving, that's not going to be the end of the world. Come around to the back with me. Now, around the back here, tow bar. You've got 3.5-ton brake towing capacity. The entire range of sport vehicles comes with an integrated brake controller, which means you can hook up a trailer directly to this and have a brake controller ready to rumble. You don't need to go and do it as an aftermarket installation, which I think is fantastic. I'll show you this as well. So Ford was doing a stack of deals on in-stock Rangers. So they were model year 24 cars that Ford was trying to get rid of. What Ford has changed here with the model year 25 cars is the addition of this. So this used to be a 12-volt outlet. That's now basically a 230-volt outlet with 400-watt supply. So they've changed this from a 12 volts and also the interior from a 12 volt to the addition of one of these plugs. It gives you a little bit more headroom if you're doing some caravanning and you want to be able to run some accessories off your vehicle. That wasn't available prior to this, so they've now added that, which is why I kind of steered him towards getting this instead. We'll jump inside the cabin and I'll run you through one of the other option packs I told him to go for as well. Okay, so we're inside the Sport. One of the options that I went for here is the Touring Pack. And Touring Pack adds a number of things, but one in particular that I thought was quite useful for Dad, and that is basically the Pro Trailer Backup Assistant, or whatever the marketing term is for it, but basically allows you to control the direction of the trailer using the drive mode selector over here, and also has a towing mode as well. Useful because if you're not confident with reversing a trailer, you should get confident with it, but you know, to save you the hassle, you also have this option as well to basically direct the vehicle where it needs to go. Great feature, and I think for the price of the pack, it's like $1,600 or something like that. This, in addition to the zone lighting, the auxiliary switch bank, and all the other stuff that it adds, I think it's just worthwhile adding that if it doesn't come standard with the spec that you're going for. We were originally going to look at the XLT, but Mum didn't like the cloth seats, so that's why the Sport comes standard with this, you know, I'd call it leather, but it's probably not leather material there. So hotter on a hot day, you can't get cooled seats, but anyway, she wants what she wants. So Sport's separate to other specs in the range, and coming from, you know, a Raptor where I've got a big screen, this has this tiny little screen, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's got a tiny, well, not tiny, but a smaller infotainment display compared to Raptor. Probably one of the things that annoys me the most is there's no cup holders. I mean, seriously, you've got holes for the cup holders there. They've just cheaped out and just added these pointless, like, nothings there for you to not be able to store anything in when you should have a cup holder. Same with this slot up the top there. It's empty because it's available as a holder in the Raptor, but here it just does nothing. So I hate it when they cheap out on stuff like that when it should just be included. I mean, it's just a redundant thing to be saving money on. The other thing I noticed as well, which is just really weird, seatbelt. It's not adjustable here. It's adjustable in the Raptor, but not here in the Sport for some reason. And, you know, that coupled with all this other cost-saving stuff, it just feels really cheap when brands do that. For something as simple as seatbelt adjustment, why would you not just have that as standard? Cup holders, you know, it's just like, guys, stop being tight asses. So anyway, it does have the rest of the bells and whistles you need though. So you've got the dual zone climate control, you've got the wireless charging there, you know, comes with everything else that's going to keep you happy while you're driving. Now, why did I settle for the Ranger? Well, you guys would know better than anyone that I test virtually every single car on the market, and certainly every dual cab ute on the market here in Australia. And to me, if I'm going to endorse a product to buy for something like towing, and you know, that is going to be used by a family member, I'm obviously going to go for the best option that's available, and that is this vehicle. With all of the testing that they've done in Australia, and you know, the engineering work that has been put into this vehicle, knowing some of the team that works on this, I'm confident in saying that you can't go better than this when it comes to towing. It really does tick all of those boxes. Normally though, if someone is going to be driving around Australia, I'd recommend a Toyota product simply from the point of view that there are more Toyota dealers regionally. So that is typically my go-to, but in this instance here, I think that this is a better compromise in terms of value for money, because if you're going to step into a Toyota that isn't four-cylinder like the Hilux, you're going to be spending money on a Land Cruiser 300 series, and that's going to cost you closer to $100,000 if you want just like a base model, and well over that if you want something a little bit nicer. So that is how I landed on a Ford Ranger for Dad and for Mum for their towing adventures. They're going to be hooking their van up to this and doing a test run pretty soon, but I am sort of pretty happy with how this has panned out. I also have to give a massive shout out to the guys at Western Ford, who basically, you know, went through the process of ordering and delivering the vehicle for me. They were fantastic to deal with. So if you do need someone who will look after you, listen to your requests. I had a really narrow band of what I wanted. They found the car. They had all the accessory stuff installed from ARB. It was like a really simple and straightforward process. So thank you again to them for making that really easy. Anyway, so there it is. Let me know what you reckon. Did I make the right choice, or have I given Dad a dud? I'll keep you posted on how reliable the car is. I'm sort of running it in at the moment before I sort of toss in the keys, but we're at the sort of 250K mark now. I've been sort of running it in. How do you run it in? I don't know, these modern cars, there's no real run-in procedure. To me, it's a balance of being gentle and a little bit nasty at times to it, because you want to give it the full spectrum. My opinion is that if they fit a stop-start system and that thing is activating when the engine is cold, warming it up is kind of pointless these days. So I am going to look into getting a 4Scan tool to basically disable some of the annoying stuff like stop-start, and memory on lane departure stuff, because that stuff can get a little bit annoying having to switch it off each time you drive the car. But anyway, yeah, let me know. Did I make the right decision? Let me know in the comment section below. If I didn't make the right decision, what would you buy instead? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.